Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been doing just that, really digging into the transcript from Google's latest I/O keynote.
Yeah, the May 2025 one, lots to unpack there, especially around AI.
Exactly. And our mission here for this deep dive with you is to try and figure out what this flood of new AI tools might actually mean, for education, how we learn personally, and maybe even the future of certain jobs.
That's the core question, isn't it? Because the keynote made it clear they're shipping AI incredibly fast now. It's getting woven into everything, products, APIs.
They called it a new phase, right, where the research is hitting the real world much quicker than maybe we expected.
Pretty much. And the stated goal is more intelligence for everyone, everywhere. Big ambition.
It is. So our job now is to look at the specifics they announced and try to connect those dots. How could this stuff change how we study, teach, research, or even just do our day-to-day work?
Okay, well, let's start at the bottom layer, the foundation. They spent a good chunk of time on the progress with their core AI models. Gemini 2.5 Pro and 2.5 Flash were the big names.
Right, and they weren't shy about the benchmarks. I remember them saying 2.5 Pro was topping leaderboards like La Marina.
Yeah.
And something called Web Dev Arena for coding.
Exactly. And for anyone not, living and breathing AI leaderboards, that basically means these models are performing incredibly well on really complex tasks. We're talking understanding language, reasoning, and specifically writing and fixing code.
Yeah.
And relevant for us today, they highlighted it being #1 on the LM Arena, specifically for learning tasks. So direct application there.
And it wasn't just the AI brains getting smarter, it was the hardware too. They mentioned new chips.
Yeah, TPU, Ironwood, delivering something like a 10x performance jump. Plus, other models, like the ones they use for generating things, code, math stuff, were apparently 5x faster now.
So faster and smarter models. Why does that raw power matter so much?
Well, it's the engine, right? These leaps in performance, they're not just numbers on a slide. They're what makes the sophisticated features, the speed, the ability to understand images and video and text all at once. It makes all that possible at scale. You need that horsepower under the hood.
Gotcha. So powerful engine established. Then they moved on to this big idea, the agentic shift.
Right. This is kind of the next step beyond just asking an AI a question. It's about AI systems that can actually perform tasks for you, multi-step tasks.
Using tools.
Yeah.
Like interacting with websites or software.
Exactly. Agents combine that AI intelligence with the ability to use tools. And crucially, they kept stressing, this is under your control. You tell it what to do.
Okay, and Project Mariner fits in here somewhere. I recall that name.
Yeah, Mariner is key. Started as research, now it's coming to developers via the Gemini API. It provides those computer use skills, letting the AI actually navigate a browser, click buttons, fill forms, that kind of thing. Yeah. They showed it handling like up to 10 things at once. And even this teach and repeat idea, you show the AI a complex workflow once and it learns to do it itself.
Okay, that sounds powerful. And they're putting this into their apps. Gemini and Search.
They are. The example they used for agent mode in the Gemini app was finding an apartment. You tell Gemini your criteria, price, location, must have a balcony, whatever. And the agent uses Mariner to browse listings, uses something called MCP, basically their way of understanding web content, to pull the details, filter everything, and could even schedule the viewings for you.
Okay, hold on. An AI handling all that back and forth, the clicking, the filtering, that's a lot of save time.
It really is. And they talked about similar things in Search, too. Finding event tickets across different sites, booking restaurants, even finding and scheduling, say, a plumber, analyzing options, handling checkout potentially.
Right. If you think about that in a learning context, maybe a student researching a topic, could an agent pull info from, 10 different journal databases and summarize the key findings?
Potentially, yeah. Or cross-reference lecture notes with textbook chapters. It's automating that digital legwork. For professionals, think about scheduling meetings across different time zones or compiling data from multiple spreadsheets. It frees up your mental energy for the actual thinking, the analysis, the creative part.
Okay, so that's AI doing things. But they also talked a lot about AI understanding you. Personalization.
Huge focus. This relies on what they call personal context. Basically, if you give permission, Gemini can securely access relevant info from your Google stuffed Gmail, Drive, calendar.
With permission being the key phrase.
Absolutely. They emphasize transparency and user control repeatedly. But the idea is to make the AI genuinely helpful because it knows your context.
And the examples here felt, well, very personal, like smart replies in Gmail that sound like you because it's seen how you write.
Exactly, it learned your style. But the learning applications they showed were, I thought, really compelling.
Like?
Well, proactive help. Gemini sees you have a big exam on your calendar next week. It could pop up and say, hey, want to start studying? I can make a quiz from your notes.
From my notes, like if I uploaded them to Drive.
Yeah, or notes your professor shared. If you give it permission to access those files, it can generate personalized study materials. Or remember the custom explainer video?
Oh, yeah. Explaining thermodynamics using cycling because the AI knows you like cycling.
Right. That's not just information retrieval. That's tailoring the explanation to your interests, making it stick better. It shifts the AI from just a reactive tool to something more like a proactive, personalized tutor.
That feels like a significant step up.
And these capabilities, the agents doing things, the personalization understanding you, they feed into transforming the actual, environments where we learn and create.
Okay, how so? What did they show there?
Well, take research again. They demoed deep research mode. This isn't just one quick search. The AI apparently fires off dozens, maybe hundreds of queries simultaneously in the background to compile these really comprehensive, cited reports on a topic in minutes. And in the Gemini app, you can even upload your own files, research papers, lecture notes to kind of guide the AI's research direction.
So if the AI can generate that baseline report so quickly, what does the student do?
That's the fascinating question for education, isn't it? The student's job maybe becomes less about finding the raw information and more about critically evaluating the AI's report, synthesizing it, asking deeper questions, building on top of it. It pushes towards higher order thinking.
Right, analyzing, critiquing, not just collecting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's Canvas in the Gemini app. They pitch this as an interactive co-creation space.
Co-creation with the AI.
Yeah. You can take that detailed report or any complex idea and with basically one tap, ask the AI to turn it into something else. A dynamic web page, maybe an infographic, a quiz, even a short custom podcast explaining it, or a code simulation.
Okay, that's versatile.
Super versatile. They use the term vibe coding, like collaborating with the AI to tweak the output until it feels right. It just lowers the barrier massively for creating rich, interactive content. Think about educators making lesson plans or students building projects.
Yeah, makes sophisticated outputs much more accessible. What about search itself? Any changes there?
Big ones. Search Live is getting really multimodal, using your phone's camera to understand what's in front of you in real time.
The science experiment example, pointing the camera and getting instructions.
Yeah, that one. Or the bike repair demo was pretty impressive. Point the camera at a bike part, Search Live identifies it, pulls up manuals, finds YouTube videos maybe you watched before, digs up emails about bike shops near you, all overlaid on the camera view.
That's amazing for hands-on stuff. Learning a practical skill, troubleshooting.
Definitely. Imagine being in a lab or a workshop or even just fixing something at home and having that kind of interactive help right there. And AI mode in search is also getting better at handling complex data. They showed asking some complicated question about baseball stats. Instead of just text, search generated a table or maybe a graph right there in the results to visualize the answer. Useful for any kind of research involving data.
And creation tools too. Images, video.
Yep. Briefly mention Imagine 4 for images, apparently much better with text and typography, which is often a weak spot. That's useful for presentations, posters, educational graphics, and V3 for video generation, now with sound built in. Plus something called Flow, an AI filmmaking tool combining these. Again, tools that could really change how we create and communicate ideas.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Beyond these specific tools for learning or creating, what about the broader impact on professions?
Well, coding is a big one. We mentioned Gemini models helping inside coding tools like Android Studio, but they also introduced Jules. Yeah, sounds like an asynchronous AI coding assistant. You give it a task, fix this bug, update this whole section of code, plan out the steps for a new feature, and it works on it in the background and comes back with a solution or a plan, potentially in minutes.
So not just suggesting code snippets, but tackling bigger tasks.
Seems like it. That definitely changes the game for software developers. Maybe automate some of the more tedious debugging or refactoring, letting humans focus on the bigger picture, the architecture.
Interesting. What else?
Android XR, bringing Gemini AI smarts to headsets and glasses. They showed prototypes, mentioned partnerships with Gentle Monster, Warby Parker.
So AI you can interact with hands-free, overlaid on the world.
Exactly. Think about the possibilities there for jobs that involve physical tasks. A mechanic seeing repair instructions overlaid on an engine. A surgeon accessing patient vitals without looking away. A warehouse worker getting navigation prompts. Or an educator demonstrating something complex while key info stays in their view. It's a whole new interface for AI.
A new form factor for information access, really.
Definitely. And they also gave nods to AI's role in basic science. AlphaFold 3 for proteins, AlphaProof for math theorems, and societal uses like wildfire detection or disaster relief. The impact really stretches across almost every field.
And long-term. They mentioned something about world models.
Yeah, that was more forward-looking research. The idea of Gemini evolving into a world model, an AI that can simulate the world, understand cause and effect, make complex plans, even imagine things. They positioned it as a step towards that ultimate goal of a universal AI assistant, and maybe a milestone on the road to AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Which could reshape, well, everything.
Pretty much, but that's still further out. The things we discussed earlier are happening much sooner.
Right. So let's try to wrap this deep dive up. We've seen fundamentally more powerful AI models as the base.
Yeah, enabling these agentic capabilities, AI actually doing complex tasks for you, not just answering questions.
Then there's the deep personalization, using your context with your permission to become a truly tailored assistant, especially for learning.
And new tools transforming how we research with things like deep research, how we create with Canvas and the new image video models, and how we interact with the world through Search Live and eventually XR glasses.
And the key takeaway from Google seemed to be the speed. They kept saying this isn't decades away, it's happening in years.
Which leads us to the final thought, really, for you listening. Given how fast this is all moving, how quickly these powerful AI tools are getting integrated into everything we use, how do you think the skills needed to succeed, whether you're learning, working in your current field, or thinking about the future? How will those skills need to change?
Very soon. Yeah. What new opportunities does this create? And what challenges does this rapid evolution bring for you personally? Lots to think about.